Okay, today we're going to be talking about main idea. Now, we talked about this in class before, but I wanted to go over it a little bit more with you so you can remind yourself and do well on your assignment today. So remember, main idea, it is what the text is mostly about. So after you read something, you want to figure out what the main idea is. You can do these things up here to try to figure out what the text is mostly about. You can look for words that are repeated over and over again. You can ask yourself the question, what is this text mostly about? Or what did I just read about? You can look at the title, the headings, and the pictures. And you can also reread the first and last sections of the text, or you can reread the first and last sentence. Now, with main idea, you always have supporting details, and those are sentences that tell more about the main idea. They describe or explain the main idea, and we'll go over that a little bit further. Okay, so now I'm going to do an example for you of how to find the main idea. I'm going to read this passage, and then we're going to figure out what the main idea is and the supporting details. So this story is called Titanic. The Titanic was thought to be an unsinkable ship. After the sinking of the Titanic, rules and laws were instituted to make ocean travel safer. The Titanic had a total of 20 lifeboats. This was enough lifeboats to carry 1,178 passengers. The Titanic was carrying 2,223 passengers. Even if all of the lifeboats were filled to capacity, there were not enough to hold all the passengers on the ship. Now, ships are required to have enough lifeboats for all passengers on board. They are also required to conduct lifeboat drills. It is believed that there was a ship close enough to the Titanic to help save more passengers. However, no one from that ship was on the radio because it was so late. New laws require that someone is listening to the radio 24 hours per day. Okay, so after reading the text, I can see that this whole thing was about the Titanic. But that's not going to be the only thing I talk about with my main idea. But before I start to get into all of that, I'm going to go down here to my question. What is the main idea of the passage Titanic? I'm going to restate by saying the main idea of the passage is. So now I'm going to go back up to my text. I know it's about the Titanic, but when I was reading this, it didn't talk about why the ship went down, or it didn't talk about what was happening when it was sinking. It was talking about after. And it wasn't just talking about how many people were hurt or affected. It was talking about rules and laws. It talks about the lifeboats and how that rule changed. It talked about the radio and how that rule changed. A lot of things changed to make it safer to travel on a big boat like the Titanic. So I'm going to say the main idea of this passage is after, gotta fix my mistake. After the Titanic sunk, rules and laws were put into place to make ocean travel safer. I'm going to go back and read my answer to make sure I have everything. The main idea of this passage is after the Titanic. Oh, I forgot to capitalize the T in Titanic. It's a proper noun. After the Titanic sunk, rules and laws were put into place to make the ocean travel safer. So now that I have my main idea, I need to give two details from the text that support the main idea. So I need to find two things that show that the rules and the laws changed to make it safer. And we already talked about that. we talked about how they changed the lifeboat laws and they also changed the radio laws. So if I was to go down and answer this, I would copy lines from the text that show that. So let me see. Now, this part right here, it says, now ships are required to have enough lifeboats for all passengers on board. That would be one piece of evidence that supports my main idea. It would be one of the things that I write down here. The other thing I would find about the radios. New laws require that someone is listening to the radio 24 hours per day. That shows that the main idea is that after the Titanic sunk, rules and laws were put into place to make it safer. So the main idea, remember, it's what the whole thing was about. We knew it was about that Titanic, but make sure you go and you're a little bit more specific.